So I'm joined by three great panelists. Right next to me, Nancy Bui-Thompson, member of the board of directors at SMUD. Hi, Nancy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Next to her, Denise Kruger, senior vice president at Golden State Water. Hi, Denise.
Hello.
And then over on the end, we have Johnston, COO of Algonquin Power and Utilities. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Perfectly.
Thank you. So I'll let you each go down the line real quick and do kind of a more brief introduction and then kind of the perspective that you expect to bring to this panel.
Great, thank you, Erin. So again, my name is Nancy Bui-Thompson. I'm an elected board member at SMUD, so we're the country's 6th largest public utility. We are unique in that we are governed by 7 elected officials that our sole purpose is providing energy to 1.6 million Sacramentans, and so we're individually elected, and so I think that provides me a different perspective than a utility staff person or a city council member who might oversee a utility. My customers are my constituents who are very vocal and very involved in Sacramento.
Okay, well, I'm Denise Kruger, and I'm the Senior Vice President for Regulated Utilities at Golden State Water Company. So, like Andy Gear before me, Golden State Water Company is a regulated utility, so we serve water to homes and businesses, just like municipal systems do, but we are rate regulated by the California Public Utilities Commission. So similar to the big energy companies that we've talked about today, we report as well to the CPUC. So we serve about 257,000 connections, so a little over 1 million Californians, but that's divided up into 37 different water systems all over the state of California. So from as far north as Clear Lake to as far south as a little community called Calipatria, and lots of places in between. And so we're a little bit unique in that our customer base is spread out over these smaller, medium and smaller systems throughout the state.
And good afternoon, my name is Johnny Johnston, and I'm with Algonquin Power and Utilities, even I struggle to pronounce it, but that's the parent of Liberty Utilities, which operates across 12 states in the US, across the gas, electricity, and water side. So here in California, we have a small electric utility up at Lake Tahoe, and then a couple of water companies, one in Apple Valley and then another down in LA. You may have picked up from my accent that I'm not a local, and so started my career in the UK industry, utility industry, looking after customer service there before coming out to the US, and now moving to Canada.
Great, thank you all for the quick introduction. And so I wanted to start this conversation kind of talking broadly about some of the trends we're seeing that are causing these changes, and then we can get in and talk more particularly about some projects that each of you are working on. But why is it important, or why is there a need for today's utilities to really rethink the customer experience, in particular to give them more control over the water and energy that they consume? So Nancy, I'll start with you.
Sure. So gone are the days where the utility whether it's a monopoly or not, where the customers are thinking of the utility as just a service. So now our customers are comparing us to the Amazons of the world, or eBay experience. But we don't spend, or we don't have the capacity to spend billions of dollars that Amazon has invested in their customer experience. So from a SMUD perspective, we realized back in 2013 that we needed to journey map all of our customer experience and touch points to really look at how we can more effectively engage and connect with our customers, because that is what they're expecting. They're expecting us to treat them like a true customer, not just a ratepayer. I think someone asked me today, do you call your people ratepayers? We call them customers, and for me, constituents, so they can decide whether or not to re-elect me. And so we've done a wholesale change in how we relate to our customers. So offering online chat, we have a very active social media presence. So outages, we just don't post something on a website. We tweet about it 24/7. We have full-time staff on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. We have a YouTube channel. So the expectation of the customer is that we will provide all of those interfaces just like everybody else that they work with.
So I'll echo exactly what you said. I think what we have learned over time, when I first started in the utility business 20-something years ago, we considered it a good day if we didn't hear from our customers, right? And now we consider it a bad day if we don't hear from our customers. So we have learned to recognize the value of our customer opinion and actually ask for our customer's opinion a whole lot more than we ever have before. And so we think that it is really important for us to engage with our customers so that we're not telling them always what to do. You know, it's really hard when you're a water utility to tell your customers stop using water. So we want to engage the customer in that conversation, and they are so much more aware today than they were 20-something years ago about the impact of their behavior on the environment and on society. And so it is extremely helpful to engage them in the entire conversation rather than just talk at them.
Yeah, and I think couldn't disagree with anything you've already heard. I think when I joined the utility industry, we called our customers now users, and so and it was very much, we're the utility, we know what is best. Our job is to provide affordable and reliable supply, and customers should be grateful they receive that. The world has moved on, and so I think the piece that I would add on, not only is it critical for us to have the relationship with our customers to help educate and help them to use the commodities more sustainably, it's actually a critical part of being a successful business, not just locally, but in terms of keeping talent within our organizations. The young people joining our organization, they want to work for a company that cares about customers. And so that relationship is critical for our customers. It's actually critical for us to be successful in retaining the talent that we need within our organization.
So one thing that we all discussed on our prep call to talk about what we were going to cover today was the challenge around collecting and analyzing customer data. So Denise, I'm going to start with you from the water perspective, and then we'll hear from Nancy and kind of the challenges that you guys had and how you kind of overcame them. So Denise, can you talk to us about some of the challenges that you're having in collecting and even analyzing customer data?
Sure. So, you know, for water utilities, I mean, you've heard about how disparate we are, right? You saw the statistic earlier about the number of community water systems, and those are the larger ones. So when you include the under 200, you know, connection systems, we're talking, in California alone, there's 7,500 water utilities. And so to collect data at that, you know, small scale is really hard to do. We also, until recently, weren't really in the business of collecting anything more than how much water people used. We had their names, their addresses, so we could send them bills, phone numbers maybe if they wanted to give them to us, and then their monthly meter read or their bi-monthly meter read, and that's all we had. But today, we're finding that we, in order to do our jobs right, have to collect a lot more information about them. We talked about, some others talked about AMI earlier, right? And so that's a challenge, having even the capacity to collect that kind of data. And then we run low-income assistance programs for our customers. And so you have to have data on their income levels. We don't shut off customers that have health needs. So you have to have information about, you know, are they on some sort of critical care? So how do you collect this data and where do you store it so that it is secure? Those are our biggest challenges. We cheat a little bit because we get and share data with the electric utilities in the state. So we share data with PG&E and Edison, for example, because they also run low-income assistance programs. And so we get to share data because we have the same customers. So we do get to cheat. And so it's, I think, a huge benefit for us to be talking to the other folks that provide services to the same customer, so that we collectively, you know, get the same data. We're not collecting data and then, you know, the other utility is out collecting the same data. And think from the customer's perspective, right? I just gave this to somebody I know. Well, you probably gave it to 3 different utilities. So our challenge has been, you know, changing what we collect over time to be more relevant to the offerings that we have, and then being able to keep that data secure while we do share it with the other utilities to be more efficient.
And then we also talked specifically kind of around smart metering and the pushback from the customer to say, I don't need this utility knowing when I'm using water and how much.
Absolutely. So we, you know, getting past the privacy, right? So when you have AMI, you know, both on the energy side and on the water side, you know a lot of information about that customer. And so we have had, customers threaten to sue us if we put in AMI. We've had all kinds, and some of that is maybe customers just are fearful of having that kind of information out there. But it also strikes me is that it really, it shows the importance that we need to put on the security of that data. Because it does tell us a lot about what's going on in somebody's home. It tells us when they're home, when they're not home. If I have that smart meter information, I can tell probably if they're doing their laundry or if they're in the shower, how many toilets they've flushed, right? So, that's a lot of private information. And so we need to communicate back to the customers and show and prove how secure that information is. And, we're not data security professionals, so that's where we need to turn to the tech companies to help us.
And Nancy, I know that you guys at SMUD have had these same issues, so can you talk a little bit kind of about that and then what you did to kind of overcome some of those challenges?
So we rolled out smart meters and had the same pushback. There was a string of talk show radio hosts that were talking about smart meters, and so we oftentimes knew who they were listening to based on the phrases like, "You're going to know when I'm blow drying my hair." We had a member of Congress threaten us with a pitchfork if we were going to install one in his home. So luckily, we overcame that because we realized that the data is a two-way street. We realized that we could not sell the value proposition of just, we need to know more about you. So we realized that we had to partner and we had to develop tools, if they weren't there, to provide an ROI for our customers. So Arlen earlier talked about many of our programs, but I'll just go over them very quickly. We have a solar home calculator where we provide a login. You can log into SMUD's account, it's seamless, and we'll derive your data for the last 12 months to help you decide if solar is right for you. It'll show what the cost benefit of leasing, buying it outright, and the payback. We have an EV calculator to compare vehicles so that you can see based on your usage, and if we layer over our time of day rate or special EV rate, how much it's going to cost and which EV you should buy. We have other home analysis tools that it'll take your daily, hourly usage and tell you what will happen, if you shift your usage. So we've now moved to time of day rates, where 5 to 7, are peak. But for me, lucky me, I have an electric vehicle and a solar installation, so I've got great rates. And so we have all these tools that give specialized data for that customer based on their usage to say, if you change your habits, you will save money. Because we had a lot of people that were very fearful about what are we going to do with the data. And so once we started to give them their own individual customized tools, they realized, hey, this is actually pretty cool. And as we look forward into partnerships, for example, SEW, that for us is very exciting because it's a platform where we can see all of the customers' plugins without having to go to 4 different sites. Because right now it's a little clunky because we are getting data from different ways. And internally, we now have this buffet of data. So what do we do with these millions of megabits of data? That's where we are partnering with companies such as OSI on ADMS and DERM systems because we realized the marketplace didn't meet our requirements. We need the data the way we need it. But we also realize that there may be other utilities that may need the data how we are using it, need to absorb it. And so we formed one of the first of its kind in the nation where it's a strategic partnership with OSI where we will build this system with them, and then down the road, if it's successful, we'll gain royalties. And so our customers will gain the benefit of what the outcomes are for better outage management, and the utility, us, might actually make a little money on the side with these strategic partnerships using data the way that we want to use the data to help our customers in the end.
And Johnny, I want to bring you into this conversation before we talk about partnerships a little bit more, but does any of this resonate with you? Is this something that you guys have seen as well in terms of those similar challenges of collecting and analyzing data?
Yes, I think for us, Liberty Utilities has grown up from the merger and acquisition of lots of very small utilities. And we've heard, particularly on the water side, how many small companies are out there, which means we're inheriting whatever those small companies had, and in general, those small companies did not have AMI rolled out with fabulous portals to provide information to our customers. And so for us, the real challenge has been we haven't got the the equipment on the ground to give us the information that we need to have the relationship we would like to have, which has meant for us, in terms of building the trust and the relationship with our customers, we've been going old school and setting up customer offices that allow our customers to come in and have a very different conversation with us face to face. We need to move on from that with information, but right now we are very much hand-tied in terms of what's available to us, so it's been a real challenge.
And so Nancy, you started talking about some of the ways that you started to overcome these challenges, and it sounded like one of the main things was figuring out how to display the data to the customer in a way that is consumable for them to actually understand what is going on. So what other things can water utilities learn from electric utilities in terms of meaningfully engaging customers based off the data that they are taking from them and analyzing?
I think, what sets SMUD apart was our engagement model with our customers. So a lot of utilities said, we are giving you a meter and that's just how it's gonna be. Doesn't quite work with an elected body of people where we have people that, they have my personal cell phone number and I have a SMUD email and I get emails and calls from people. So what I would recommend for water utilities is to look at the SMUD model of customer engagement at all channels. We had over 300 community meetings I had breakfast with the Sons in Retirement and Rotary Sunrise groups to talk about, our smart meters, to talk about our time of day rate changes. I just got an email today, Sacramento Magazine is our local magazine, showed the time of day launch just before I got on stage. And so looking at all sorts of channels from social media, YouTube, old school, showing up at a Rotary meeting and connecting with local HOAs to say, these are the benefits. Because they have a voice and they let you know it, especially with social media. I mean, we had people tweet about the smart meters killing their pets. We had someone come with a cremated box of their dog. That sort of thing goes pretty viral. And so realizing that anything you say, anything you do that touches the customer in an instant can be picked up. And so really looking at a multi-pronged approach, whether it's changing your rates or installing smart meters, the customer is very aware. And you need to be heightenedly aware that they know what you're doing, and if they're unhappy, depending on their followers, they will let the world know how unhappy they are.
So Denise, I know that Nancy just mentioned a few ways to kind of overcome that. Is there anything on Golden State Water Company's radar that you think may be the first or one of the avenues to prioritize in terms of improving customer engagement?
I think one of the things that we have really worked hard to do is be more engaging with our customers. Again, not just talking at them, but letting them talk back to us. And that's a scary proposition, actually. But we really found that I think is the first step that we needed to take in order to build better rapport, build better trust, so that if we move into these areas where we do collect more of their personal information, there is a level of trust there that we are treating them as individuals and that we're keeping their information secure. So we did a lot of work around this, particularly during the drought, where we, rather than just telling our customers, you can't use water, and telling them, on their every 2-month water bill or every monthly water bill, how much water they used as compared to, a couple of years ago, we really tried to engage and let them talk to us and tell us, well, how are you saving water? And share that with other customers. So we had open portals on our website where customers could, exchange ideas, trying all of those different ways to be more part of the community and let our customers be part of the decisions that we make. One of the things that I think is important to remember for us, we're a regulated utility. And so it's not like I can just prioritize and say, I'm going to go implement AMI now. That has to go through the regulatory process, and so there has to be an ROI for that. And that's really hard to do on the water side. It's really hard to prove that up. Doesn't mean it can't be done, but it is really hard to do. And so, so sometimes, we hear criticisms about water utilities not being as innovative as some of, somebody like SMUD, but we have this additional layer, proof point, if you will, that we've got to work through.
And Johnny, anything else to add to this conversation? What are y'all doing in terms of trying to improve that customer engagement?
Yes, I mean, I think almost building on Denise's point, on the electric side, we often talk about the energy trilemma of trying to balance reliability with affordability with sustainability, and any two of those three is pretty easy, but to cover all three is a real challenge. And I think as we look at the water side, as we now think more about how do we help our customers to be more sustainable, one of my big worries is customer affordability in bills, and how do we be very diligent in the investments that we make that help customers to save water, but do it in a way that really is affordable to them. So we are, across the enterprise, looking at rolling out smart metering to give that capability and to give customers that view. But we're going to have to do it area by area and go, really, there is an ROI, it makes sense for customers, and we may not be able to do it everywhere, just based on the geography and demographics.
Certainly one of the takeaways I've had today from the conversation so far is that partnerships are going to play a very large role, very vital role in overcoming some of these challenges. So Nancy, I'll start with you. Why are partnerships so important for utilities to better utilize customer-centric data?
For us, we have taken the approach for many years is we really can't do it alone. But we also have learned many examples of where we've partnered with companies and we didn't have the right arrangement. I talked about a certain company today where we were their customer number one. They didn't quite remember that many years later where they were sold to another company. And so, we realized that it's not just about partnership, but it's about strategic partnerships as to if we are going to invest our valuable data from our customers and the valuable experience from our staff, that the partnership needs to be different. You need to have skin in the game, but you also have to realize that the capital that is built largely on the backs of our customer data and our staff. And so how do we engage in a different way? So I think that's important. And secondary, how we look at a sector or a group of people, it can be oftentimes one vision. And when you partner with someone else who has seen a different landscape, who sees different customer bases, I think that helps us better refine where we want to go. And so, not only is it partnerships with technology companies to help us, it's partnering with, polling companies, partnering with, a social aggregation companies. For example, we have now a new program that we asked our customers to sign up for community engagement groups. And so we have 4,000 customers who chime in on our programs, that we float an idea out there. They let us know brutally if they like it or not. Where we used to have these really small kind of focus groups that came to SMUD and they were handpicked people. And even if we had hired Gallup, it's a different way. So now we do this larger socialization of ideas. And so that's a different partnership than hiring Gallup to do X, Y, Z.
And this is something that we've actually talked about previously, Nancy, is just kind of this changing customer profile. It's not anything that you can no longer look at a typical set of demographics and try to understand how a customer uses things. You have to take into account some of these different customer preferences. So Denise, how can partnerships for you guys really help you improve your ability to use that customer-centric data?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we are trying to focus on, and it really kind of goes to some of the themes that we've heard today about the energy-water nexus, and I think partnering more, the utility companies partnering more together can make a tremendous difference in moving the needle. Oftentimes we hear water companies talk about, more efficient pumps and getting on better rate schedules and things like that. It's almost as if we work in a vacuum, because then you hear the energy companies talk about, well, you need to pump during off-peak times, and well, in order for us to do that, we have to have more reservoir capacity. And so we need to talk together about what it takes on both sides for us to meet the end goal, and not make the assumptions anymore, because as somebody said earlier, what worked 10 years ago doesn't work today. And so we can't base our decisions on things that we knew about the energy, nexus 10 years ago, or the water nexus 10 years ago. We need to continue in those conversations. So I like to think about the partnerships that we need to have really being the utilities need to partner together constantly, to make sure that we are moving the needle.
I wanted to just because you sparked something that we have also found. with that is that we oftentimes have been siloed in the past. And so we have now a partnership with the city of Sacramento. They run their own utility. And so we have found that nexus to be very beneficial, even down to using and sharing resources. So we have a SMUD energy store. We give rebates on nests. But if you're a city of Sacramento utility customer, we have now joined forces with them. They too can get water-specific rebates all throughout our website and have that connection, because we realize if someone's coming to our website for energy stuff, they might actually want some water stuff too.
Exactly.
And we didn't really think about that in the past. And so to your point, looking at different ways to partner rather than just telling them pump, at midnight because it's cheaper. That's only one part. We all share the same customers. And so how do we more proactively work with each other and share? We've already developed a website. Not that hard to throw up some more products.
Right.
But we were always like, this is mine, mine is mine, yours is yours. And so really looking at the overlap and intersection.
And Johnny, anything else to add?
Yeah, so I think the piece that I'd build and add on, certainly for the regulated utilities, is one of the key partnerships for us really is to work with our regulators to be able to deliver what customers need. And if we're fighting with our regulators, really no one wins, and really getting that alignment of actually where are we trying to go, and then how can we make investments to support that vision is really, really critical. And I think that's a critical partnership for our business for sure.
And I'm going to start right back down there with you, Johnny, and then I was hoping to go down the line to have each of you talk about some innovative partnerships right now or current projects that highlight the improvement of the end-to-end user experience and also successful partnerships. So Johnny, I'll let you start.
So we're right on the front end of a number of things that we're looking to do. I think for us, the easier we can make it for our customers, the better it's going to be in terms of delivering the outcomes we're looking for. And so within our electric business here in California, we're looking to get to 100% renewables, not by 2045, we'd like to get there by 2025. And so working with the CPUC around how can we ultimately enable all of our customers to go renewable without having to do anything other than turn the switch on is the easiest way to help. On the water side, we've sort of hinted the ambition now to put smart water meters in for all of our customers is where we're looking to go again in the right conversation with the regulator. But I think we heard a little bit today, just putting a smart meter in without then providing not just real-time data but insight is then the next piece. So having put the technology on the ground, how can we then make it easy for our customers to not say, this is how much water you've used, but actually, unless you turn off the sprinkler system in your back garden, you're going to be over the limit by the end of the month or the end of the 2-month period, almost using the example from earlier. If we're able to provide that insight to our customers off the back of the metering, that's really what's going to make the difference, I think.
I think for us, one of the big partnerships that we have going on that I think is at least something I'm really proud of that we're doing, and that is around our low-income assistance programs. And again, it requires partnerships with the energy companies, because the energy companies in California have had these programs for a long, long time. And as we began to implement low-income assistance programs, we were able to partner with those energy companies and get available information about the income of our customers. And so we were able to share data. Imagine sharing data. And so that has really facilitated our ability to reach out to customers that may not reach out directly to us, but it's allowed us to reach out to them, to get them signed up for low-income assistance programs. And it's a partnership that is important and key to making sure these programs go forward and grow. And it's making sure that those in those low-income situations are able to have the discounts and have the benefits that are available to them.
So for SMUD, I mentioned some programs earlier, but Denise reminded me of low-income targeting based on data. So, all utilities have some sort of low-income assistance program. We call ours EPR. We realized that just giving a straight 30% haircut off their bill wasn't enough. So with the data now that we have from smart meters, we're able to look at who are the highest users in the low income bracket and then target programs for them. Because it saves them money and it saves us money instead of just continuing just giving you a 30% cut. So we have free weatherization programs for people's homes, whether they own it or not. So even as a renter, you can participate and get free weatherization in your home. We've also partnered with a nonprofit called Grid Alternatives to install solar in these homes. We have our own solar shares program. We were one of the first utilities in the country to have community solar, where you can buy into a solar installation, because in Sacramento, we are the Tree City USA. So not only are some roofs just not equipped, but we have a lot of great trees. And so looking at how we can use data to help target customers has really moved the needle. Because in the past, if you were low income, you typically didn't own your home. And so the owner wasn't incentivized to make it any better for you. And so we have realized that we have to be the person, you know, to reach out individually. So we have many partnerships in the community with faith-based organizations, with, you know, ethnic organizations that have our e-performs, because a lot of people still don't know about it. And so partnering with them to give, you know, outreach to our customers. We also realize that it's not just about energy usage anymore, that we have to help our customers in a holistic view. So we just kicked off what we're calling sustainable communities, which is looking at it, all parts of someone's life. So their social welfare, their environmental health and prosperity in terms of economic development. So gone are the days that we are just focusing on energy usage. We are focusing on getting people physically and mentally healthy. So we're partnering with different organizations to help fund programs, because when people are able to work and to be productive members of the society, they're going to pay their bills on time, and which is a different way of thinking about it. I think we only used to look at customers as bill and money. That's it, right? Now we have to look at our customers as how do we help them be better contributors to society, and how can our businesses better serve our customers so they can in turn you know, participate at a fuller level than never before. And so looking at those different partnerships at all angles, not just energy usage, has been really important to us as a board and as a utility as we look forward into what is that relationship, because people are going to be getting off the grid, right? So how do we continue to connect with those customers on a different level than they've ever seen before?
Nancy, that actually kind of leads me into the last question. And I think a lot of times what happens today, particularly around innovation, is there can be kind of a long-term goal and then things that are happening right now, but there can be a disconnect between those two things. So my question for you guys, the panelists, is what are some innovative practices that you're seeing implemented today around customer centricity, and how will they be realized or continue to be realized in the long run, whether that's within your own utilities or even other utilities that you're seeing and you're saying, hey, maybe I need to look at doing that. Maybe that's something I need to instill in the culture of my organization in order for us to continue to improve our customer experience. So Denise, I'll start with you.
Okay, well, gosh, you know, there are so many amazing utilities out there that do such a good job of engaging with their customers. And so, you know, we do like to look out and see what's happening. And one of the things that we're trying to keep in mind is that our customer base is very diverse. And so we're trying to learn how to better engage with our customers, but using all forms of platforms out there. You know, we've talked a lot about, you know, social media and all of those great ways to communicate with your customers. But as you mentioned, sometimes the old-fashioned face-to-face is what's preferred. So you know, I think what we're trying to figure out and trying to find is sort of that right balance, if you will. And so we're looking to others that have maybe figured that out. You know, how do you balance the needs of the customers that still do like to have that paper bill versus those customers that don't ever look at it and they want to just pay everything online? Those customers that want to come into an office to chat with somebody versus, you know, realizing that is the most expensive way to service a customer. And so everybody's better off if they don't do that and they, you know, go online and use those self-service portals. You know, but we have a variety of customers, and so not all of them want to engage at the same level. So, you know, so we're looking around and trying to figure out who's best at that. and implement those customer initiatives in our utility.
Great, and Johnny?
Yeah, so today's been great. I've written down lots of notes of things to take away. There's always opportunities to learn. But I think we very much believe in a sort of a crawl, walk, run approach to most things that we do. And so really building on things that we can do today whilst waiting for the technology. So as I've relatively recently joined the organization and gone around, I've been super impressed in California, our energy efficiency advisors that are going out to customers' homes and talking about how actually if they re-landscape their garden, how much water they could save and the impacts that it's had, or being able to create a community project, that real local action that's having an impact for the individual customers or for the local communities that others are getting to see. We're having to do that by hand today, and the team are doing an amazing job, but we should be able to digitize some of that and have a much broader impact as we're able to get hold of the data. And so I think it's doing what you can now, recognizing that there's things to come, but just sitting and waiting, we could be here 5 years until we've got all the perfect data. And so it's really important to take action now, and I've got a few more ideas to take home from today.
And so from a SMUD perspective, we realize that our customers are going digital faster than ever before. And so, but then we still have a base of customers who like that human touch. So to give you an old school example of what we do is when a customer service agent receives a call from a customer in distress, most of our calls are people that need help with their bills, or there's something wrong. Our customer service agents actively listen to their problem and will send them a personal card. So if your husband passed away or your water heater broke, they send a follow-up personal card to that customer. We have 600,000 customers and 1.6 million people. Because we realize that we are going digital and we have a great fancy new app that's nice and seamless if you all would like to check it out. But we realize that human touch is still really important. So really looking at all channels. So we've got the great cards, and every year we get the little booklet of all the different cards that we send to people. That's a new program. Our app that was just launched this year, that's a fully functional app. And when we looked at the marketplace for utilities, the apps are a bit faux apps where you really can't do very much, but it's got a nice little logo. It's single sign-on in our app. You can pay your bills, you can report an outage, you can do what you need to do. We also have a web responsive site for people that don't want to take the data up on their phone. Like I said, we engage in Twitter and Instagram. The amazing thing, people are during an outage, they go to our Twitter and they want to know that somebody's responding to them, which never before. I think most people's Twitter on utilities, it's just they post happy photos of a cat being saved or something like that. They weren't using the social media in an effective way. And so looking at different ways to reach different people has been really important, and giving them the data in an actionable format is key, because I think before we used to just display a lot of data. So then what do I do with that data? And so having plugins of, oh, okay, you're a high user. Well, maybe you should get a new, water heater, and here's a rebate, by the way. And so really weaving in more than just displaying and giving the information, providing connections. Like we now have a partnership where our customers can go to our website and find a contractor. And we have worked with a company that screens the contractors. We are a trusted brand in our community, and so people want to get their sources and their connections through us. So looking at that multi-pronged approach of, okay, we'll do the energy audit, but then what's next? Mm-hmm. So now we have a site that you can go find the contractor. We have programs that will help you with the rebates from what the audit has said. So looking at that whole 360 approach is what our customers have asked for, and we continually try to borrow from other people, because we're not the only ones. And so keeping on top of our customer needs, but also forming these partnerships with different companies, not just utilities, who are engaging in different ways.
Well, thank you all. Any other closing thoughts? We have a few seconds left from the panelists. Any closing thoughts you'd like to add in there?
I don't think so.
All right, well, thank you all for joining me for a great discussion.
Thank you.